All right, so we are going to get started. My name is Janelle, for everybody who doesn't know, and I am 1/3 of the gathering. And here today, we have three mamas who dedicated a little bit of time to us to share some really important information and helpful tips when it comes to motherhood, and really probably just to talk to somebody other than a little baby. So here we have some lovely ladies, and I'll let them introduce themselves. Does anybody want to go first?
My name is Tekeshia, and I'm a first-time mom, and I have a daughter named Tende who is 10 months old.
I'm Ladan. I'm also a first-time mom. I have a 3.5-month-old son named Cyrus. He'll be 4 months at the end of this month. So,
hi guys, my name is Felichia, and I am also a first-time mom. And I have a baby boy. His name is Brixton, and he's 2.5 months old.
Yes. Thank you, Fifi. And last but not least, try not to feel least. Always feel the most when you can, right? My name is Janelle. I am also a first-time mom, and Bella is 3 months old. That is my baby girl, 3 months. And it's gone by so fast. It's gone by so fast. So we have Cyrus, who is 3.5, Brixton, who is 2.5 months, and then Tende, who is 10 months. Oh, so really, you kind of like a vet in the game, Tekeshia.
Yes, right. So I'm trying to keep her from crying in the background, but she loves to be under her mom. So this is where we are.
Well, we definitely understand and we appreciate it, and it's no problem at all. We love that our kids take up the most of our time, and we really appreciate them. But when you can step away, it feels really good as well. So some of us are able to step away. I know, Ladan, you said Cyrus is with grandma. Is that right? Grandma? Yeah. And Fifi, where's Brixton?
He's with daddy upstairs.
Okay. And right now Bella is away, and I'm just hoping she doesn't come up under mama, because she likes that a lot too.
Yeah.
But let's hop into it. Let's talk about the journey to motherhood, starting with pregnancy or pre-pregnancy, right? So you get pregnant, really one way, right? But you have a lot of different journeys to actual pregnancy. Some pregnancies are planned. Some people try to get pregnant for a very long time. Some pregnancies are a surprise, and some pregnancies are connected to other people who actually carry the baby for you. There's just so many different ways that people get pregnant, and so many different ways that people feel while pregnant. So I know how I felt during my pregnancy, which I miss a little bit, which is kind of weird. But what was most helpful to you guys during your pregnancy? So those nine months and some change, what was helpful to you during that period?
The most helpful thing to me was just having support. I was in my senior year in college when I got pregnant. So of course I needed a lot of support. My professors were very supportive, my classmates, and of course my family. So I think the biggest thing was just having all that support around me and just taking in all of that positive energy and just, I guess, transferring it over to my daughter during.
Yeah, that transfer part is pretty important, I think, to think about. Anybody else? What was helpful for you, during pregnancy?
During the pregnancy, well, the whole 10.5 months, however long it is, one of the things that really, really helped me was finding ways to minimize stress, because I found out that my child ultimately would feel whatever I was feeling. And I thought that was beautiful, but it also was alarming, because I know that there were a lot of things that I could handle, but I wouldn't want to put that on my baby. So making sure that I did yoga or trying to take walks. My job was very stressful at the time. So me and my husband had to find ways to just believe for a better job or to change that situation, because I didn't want to hold on to all of that. having conversations with friends that were uplifting and joyful, doing whatever I could do to insulate myself, because there was a lot happening with COVID, being pregnant during the pandemic, the racial injustice and all that was happening to brown and Black people. It was a lot. And so I had to protect my peace, essentially, and fight for a safe place for me to actually try to enjoy the pregnancy.
Thank you, guys. I definitely think that kind of touch base, with one another, the whole transferring thing and having support and, doing what you have to do and can do by yourself, which is take care of yourself and reduce stress. So I think both of those things were super important. Thank you. And what you did during pregnancy, I think directly can affect delivery or childbirth. And you guys had some different ways that you kind of took care of yourself during that pregnancy stage. But let's talk about delivery. Let's talk about what it was like to finally, slowly but surely, make that human come into this earth, as successfully as possible. What was delivery like for you ladies?
I really looked forward to giving birth because I had a horrible pregnancy. Like you, Janelle, I do not miss it one bit. I was excited when I was being told that I was going to be induced 3 weeks early. I said, let's go. I'm ready. And I suspected that I possibly could have a C-section because my mom had to have a C-section with me, and my baby was on the large side. So it was definitely a possibility. And I was okay with whatever way he came out as long as he was healthy. So that was great. I was excited. It happened. I had a C-section and it was fine, but he had to go to NICU for a week, which was tough. I mean, he was okay. He just needed some help with breathing because he was born 3 weeks early and he came out through C-section. So his lungs weren't fully developed. And that was difficult with my recovery from my C-section, being there and having trouble, walking in and having to get over to NICU to see him. That was probably the most challenging part. Yeah. Just being away from him, being able to be with him every day and night for that week. But
yeah, that sounds challenging. And I am happy you made it through because delivery is no joke. I think it's one of the most incredible things any person can do, but specifically women. It's amazing. It's incredible. However it's done, and that is the point. So thank you for sharing that, Ladan. Anybody else?
So for me, childbirth was very surprising. It wasn't what I expected at all. I ended up carrying my daughter for 41 weeks, and I had to be induced. So I was really excited about being induced. And like Ladan, I kind of just thought about the fact that I could have a C-section, but honestly, I didn't think that I would. I was like, I'm young. We're made to do this. I'm just going to push this baby out in 8 seconds and it's over. It did not go like that. I actually ended up having to have an emergency C-section because my daughter was in fetal distress. So for me, it was just very surprising. A lot of unexpected things happened, but of course, it was still beautiful, just surprising.
Surprising. That is a beautiful way to express it, Tekeshia. Thank you. Thank you for your peaceful candor. But Fifi, is there something that you wanted to share? I saw you kind of nodding and agreeing with them as they were chatting.
Yeah, because I think what my experience was that it was nothing like what I could have imagined. Like in my head, I had a plan, the way I wanted things to go, like I'm gonna breathe and then I'm gonna labor at home and I'm gonna eat these foods and then I'm gonna do these yoga moves. And then, no, it didn't happen that way at all. And when I was going through it, I knew I never wanted to feel what I was feeling again, especially with the contractions and all of that. That's unbelievable amount of pain. But afterwards, I was just in love. And people say that happens, like when you see it, it'll all be worth it. And the whole pregnancy, I would just roll my eyes at people when they said that, because I'm like, no, because I hated being pregnant. But it was worth it at the end. It was worth it at the end. One thing I really wanted to do was I did want to push my kid out. And so I found myself having to really focus on and not allow myself to get psyched out or thinking about all the bad things that could happen. So I had to stop watching Grey's Anatomy. I had to stop watching all the shows. And really, I was grateful that I was able to do that because I know that it's different for everybody. So a lot of things I couldn't control, but that was one thing that with the right support, it did happen.
Yeah. I think one thing about the right support during that whole delivery stage, the pandemic made it very interesting because you really could only have like one direct support during that actual time. And I know for me, before I had a child, I used to always think my mom's going to be there, my grandma's going to be waiting outside, whoever is the child's father is going to be there with me. Like, it's going to be a lot of love and they going to keep me lifted. And I had one person, I had my husband, and he had to be everything. And I had to be a lot more for myself than I think I would have had to be at another time. And so that's why I'm grateful right now to be a mom, because I think we are a different kind of strong mom. I mean, mothers by themselves are incredible, but mothers who became pregnant during the pandemic, I feel like we got an extra little layer or something, okay? It might just be me, but that's just how I feel. And I too did not have the delivery that I thought of. I wanted to push my kid out too, and I was able to push her out, but I didn't get to labor at home. I didn't get to, get videos and talk to the people like, hey guys, I just had a contraction. It was a 5 out of 10. Like, no, that didn't happen. My water broke. We had to hurry up and go to the hospital. It just, things went different for 25 hours. So, it's something that you can try to fathom, but you can't. You just can't. Whatever it is in that moment, it'll be, and prayerfully and hopefully it'll end up in the success of bringing your child into this world. And that's all childbirth and delivery is about. And then the baby gets here. And welcome to postpartum life, right? Welcome to your motherhood, because it's nothing like, for me, it's nothing like the motherhood my mom told me about, or that I maybe kind of shared in with friends. It was a really interesting transition. What has that transition been like for you ladies?
I guess I'll go. So transition has definitely been slow, not in a bad way, but it does take a while to adjust to motherhood, not just to being a parent, but just being a new person. I think that I didn't expect to change so much. Like, I thought I was just gonna be myself and who I've always been. But once I had my daughter, like, my mindset changed. And then once your mindset changes, your ideas for what you want in the future changes. And so for me, everything has just been moving slow. I'm adjusting. I'm trying to figure out who I want to be all over again. So it's been slow, but it's still beautiful. All of it is beautiful. I feel like I'm growing with my daughter. I'm getting to know myself. I'm getting to know her. My husband and I are getting to know each other again. So it's slow, but it's beautiful still.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. What do you wish you knew? What's the real deal about motherhood or the postpartum period that you wish you knew before going through it?
I wish I just expected to have to heal from childbirth, and not just like in a physical sense, but in a mental sense, because I think that's what took the most time for me, just taking in my birthing experience and realizing that it wasn't what I expected. It wasn't my fault, and it wasn't something that I can necessarily control. So I think it was just like me not knowing that I would have to heal from childbirth mentally as well as physically. I thought it would just be like, oh, well, if I have a C-section, I'll have to heal from that, but I'm strong enough. I didn't expect to have to heal from so much.
Got you. Thank you.
What about you? Add to that, because that triggered something for me. One thing I wish that I knew more about was breastfeeding and that whole process. I feel like looking back in retrospect, there were so many things that I didn't know, and the care professionals around me, they did an amazing job, but I don't think they knew how to specifically usher a first-time mom through that whole experience with everything that is happening around you, because they're just coming in there with their clipboards and they're trying to focus on what information they need, whatever tests they need to run, and they're not thinking about elevating what I needed or what I might need in that moment. And in retrospect, I realized how important it is for me to breastfeed and give my child, breast milk. But so many things happened where I didn't have that time with him. And also I wasn't equipped to start that process initially. And now I'm like trying to make up for it. And every day it's like up and down, like one day it's like, I feel good about it. I feel like I can do it. And then the next day I'm like in a corner crying because I feel like I failed my kid and that I didn't equip myself. But I know that he's going to be okay and he's good. But those are just things that I'm processing. And I wish that, especially, I read something about the statistics when it comes to breastfeeding, how a lot of people aren't educated, but specifically Black women and women of color, and how they just kind of push you to give them formula immediately with, whatever notion it is, like, oh, your child needs to eat, or, oh, they're gonna, they need these calories or whatever, when that's not always the case. And there's more to the story there. So that's one thing that I'm dealing with and processing now as a first-time mom and still being in the 4th trimester. And if I wish that I knew more about it, but I'll be able to do better next time, and hopefully help women who are coming up on that to know things to ease that process for them.
Absolutely. Thank you. Ladan, was there anything that you wanted to add to that?
I just really felt that when she was talking about breastfeeding, it was hard. I didn't know it was going to be hard. I just thought milk was going to come running out of my breasts and he was going to be fed without any issue. But it was such a struggle. And I ended up having to stop after a month. But like Fifi?
Yeah.
Was saying, I would be crying because I felt guilty, like it was my fault. I'm not producing nutrients for my child that I'm supposed to naturally give him. And it was really, really, really hard. And I have a really great pediatrician, and she was, able to talk me through it, because the mom guilt stuff is so real. It was just really hard, but ultimately I wasn't giving him enough breast milk. I wasn't producing enough. And I think the time that he was in NICU and he was in the bottle, it was just a lot of factors that played into it, that it didn't work out like I had thought it would. And that was really hard and emotional at times.
Yeah, I think what you all three have said is really, really important, because in the 4th trimester, which a lot of people don't know about either, there are so many mental changes that happen. There are so many like aha moments you have in realizing that your body will never be the same, that, the way you process information may never be the same. Like, you consider other things now and before it was different. There's so much that happens when you have to try to breastfeed, right? When you have to become educated on that, on what an infant is supposed to look like when they're okay and what they look like when they're not okay, like just so many different things. And for me, I feel like the information shared from other mothers was a little prettier, a little more sugar-coated than I would have expected. I think for me, the realest mothers in my life who shared information were friends who I was there with physically. Like, I watched you birth her. You can't tell me it was all nice and cool. I watched you. Or from my mom, because you was my child and you gave me hell. And here's how, here's why, here's how not to, deal with that with your daughter. Those are the people who were the most transparent with me. But I honestly feel like a lot of moms did not give information that was very helpful. And I don't know what that's about. I really don't know what that's about, but I would have liked more transparency. So I thank you ladies for being transparent today. I know none of you are putting on, because I felt connected to everything that you shared. Is there anything else that you would share with the first-time mom, if you could talk to her before she delivered her child, before she gave birth? Anybody at all?
Well, I do. And this is something that I shared with my pregnant friends. I think the most important thing during pregnancy is to choose a care provider that supports the same things that you support. Because while I was in labor, I just felt like my doctors didn't support a natural labor. And that's something that I was trying to do. But if your doctors aren't supporting what you're trying to do, then you feel low and you feel like it's not the right thing to do. So I think the most important thing when you're choosing your doctor is not necessarily the hospital, but it's more so what that doctor likes. Does this doctor support natural births? Will they allow you to have a vaginal birth after a C-section? Those are some things that you should consider during pregnancy that will help you during postpartum as well.
Thank you, Tekeshia.
Buy stool softeners, because the first postpartum bathroom experience was, I've heard it called the second birth, and that's how it was. So that's
real.
No, that's so real, and I appreciate you for that.
That was the worst part for me. So
thank you. Stool softeners, check.
I would say to first-time moms or moms, second-time moms, to remind you to give yourself the time to process things and process them in the way that you need to, because there are a lot of changes that happen. And I think while it all ends beautifully, there's so many lessons that you learn along the way. And so journaling is a great tool for processing those feelings, for those lessons, things that you hear that you really want to hold on to, decisions that you make within yourself or with the people around you. Do what you need for you. Like, take the time, get the tools, don't be afraid. You are your best advocate. And during pregnancy, I had to learn how to be my number one advocate and my child's advocate. So you can practice that while you're pregnant, and by being bold enough to speak up and take the spaces that you need to for what you need.
Absolutely. And I would say, let them cry a little. Just let them cry. It's okay if your child is fed, if your child is clean, if all of your baby's needs are met. Let them cry a little. Brush your teeth. It's fine. Let them cry a little. Eat your food. Finish your shower. If they are okay, you can be okay, and you will be right there, and they will be fine. So just let them cry. It's their love language. It's what they do. It's okay. But thank you guys. Thank you women. Thank you mothers for joining me. We are going to actually transition to our maternal mental health corner with Brittany and Felichia. So I'll be ending the Zoom, and then we are going to head right over there.